You get to pretend now it's 11 o'clock at night. And you receive a call from the care home saying that Ellen has been angry and yelling intermittently for the past 2 days when anyone refuses her requests. And tonight during care, she bit her favorite carrot, who was trying to help her undress, and she drew blood. She insisted on going down to the lounge area with only a blanket covering her and has just raised a fist toward a co-resident who was calmly sitting in the lounge area. You're asked for assistance. So how do you feel when that call comes through? What do you notice in yourself at 11 o'clock at night when that phone rings and that's what the situation is? Be honest.
Make this go away.
Make this go away, right? Right. And what does it...
Sorry, wrong number.
And what is that associated with that? Make this go away.
Frustration.
So frustration. Yep. What else?
Annoyance.
Annoyance. Yeah. What else? Anything else?
Concern.
Concern. Yeah. Josh? Anything else? So what do you think it's like for the person who phoned you at 11 o'clock at night?
They're scared thinking they're next.
Right. They're scared thinking they're the next person to be bitten. Yes. So there's a lot of fear you're dealing with on the other end of that phone, right? So I just want to get at these feelings because this conversation is a loaded conversation. And it can go very differently depending on how aware we are of both our own sort of feelings and the person on the other end of the phone. And in the end, what we both have to focus on is how do we get to calm? How do we get to calm, and ideally not sedate, but how do we get to calm for you calling me, for the poor Carrie who had who was bitten, for poor Ellen, who's clearly suffering quite terribly at this point, in terms of how she's doing, and how are we going to make this work? So this is a really wonderful quote. Between stimulus, the phone call, and the response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in that response lies our growth and our freedom. And it might sound woolly, but it isn't. Because what we really need to do in those situations, before you even engage in the conversation, is to take a sacred pause, right? It's to take, and to help the person on the other end of the phone, just take a breath. Because chances are there's a lot of high energy in that environment where they're phoning you. There's a lot of terror. So it's about slowing down the response and just having some empathy that this, in fact, is really not an easy situation for the staff there to deal with, and that Ellen's suffering as well. So what do you do from here? What do you do? Thoughts, pieces, thoughts, pieces, thoughts, thoughts, pieces?
Start asking questions.
Start asking your questions. And this is a tool, this SBAR. Everybody knows what SBAR stands for. The situation, background, assessment, and the recommendation. And in some places, people complete this tool before they actually even call you because it helps them to organize their thoughts. And it very similarly to the P.I.E.C.E.S path, but it makes sure they have the data when they talk to you. But even if they don't fill it out, when someone gives you a call, these are the kinds of things you need to hit in terms of the highlights. And one of the important questions is, what is the care plan? Right? What is the care plan that you have now, and how do you handle that? And how does the facility handle these things in general? Because there are some facilities we've been hearing about where that call doesn't come to the physician, it goes to the administrator on call. And that administrator actually comes in and sees what they can do in terms of making sure the care plan is being followed, that their staff are being supported, and then at the end, and that PRNs are used that are already prescribed if needed, before that even comes to us. So it's really important to just know that those are really helpful questions for them. But what is the care? Do you have a care plan? What have you done before that's worked? This kind of thing.
Yeah, and that SBAR is actually located on the BC BPSD Algorithm down the acute pathway. So there's a copy of it there. So that's where it comes from, and it is used in residential care. Some people have modified it a little bit, but you might see it faxed. But if you have it, it helps. Again, it takes what we've been talking about, it puts it in that SBAR format so that you can sort of have something to refer to in the moment, and then help to make collaborative decisions. So what do you do from here? Well, a lot of new staff come in, casuals, they take over. They might not even have read the care plan. So we want to go back to it, kind of anchor that conversation if it's there. So where's Ellen right now? Ellen is in the dining room. It's 11 o'clock. She's not fallen asleep. She's not clothed, I don't think. You're worried. What do you think could next steps look like for this person? I think there might have been a co-resident in the dining room. So who are you going to move, Ellen or the co-resident? The co-resident, that's right. So we could maybe get that person out of there. That leaves Ellen some free reign to be in a space that might actually, because some things burn out. Oh, sorry, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the difficult part, is sort of what you were saying, is just having that mindful moment. Having a plan, doing nothing is having a plan. And sometimes I'll write that in people's behavior care plan. Doing nothing is a plan, because she may run out of gas, and the frequency of this behavior might have happened before, and you know she runs out of gas. And if people see that in a care plan, it's like it gives them permission to do nothing, which is hard because they want to do something.
Right, exactly. And so maybe just leaving her alone, maybe finding maybe not Earl Grey tea, but something else that she might like to drink at that moment. You might not want to actually give her a hot beverage because it could be chucked. Maybe a warm blanket. Some care plans may refer to the family. Some families want to be called to come in to provide comfort if they know mom or dad is going to go down this path. And so that may actually be part of the care plan. Now, Ellen's daughter in this situation probably isn't available. She might not even be in the same city. We don't know that. But you might see that, and that might be a possibility. Because some families now will want to do that as opposed to their loved one being given a medication in the moment. And that's a reality. And you have to kind of figure that out and try to establish that ahead of time. The SBAR helps to direct whether or not a conversation about vitals, medical stability, you've got to make that decision. Is there anything that you're worried about, the nurse worried about, that you might need to order blood work for or investigations in the morning? That's part of that conversation. But let's say you've tried all of that and it hasn't worked. They call you back, or they've tried it and they call you and it's not worked. Would you use a PRN medication? And she doesn't have anything now on her file chart, MAR, with respect to a medication. There's no PRNs. Would you order PRN? Everything, we've tried all of what I just said. She's still awake. It's now, let's say, 1 o'clock in the morning. She's still unhappy. As physicians, we can treat in an emergency. But it's important then, if we do prescribe something that's a PRN, that you hand that over to her physician, her MRP, most responsible physician, the next day that you have a conversation or a text or something to say, look, this happened, can you please reassess, right? Because then, if it's an enduring problem, let's say it has been bumped up into that severe category and everything else hasn't worked, and you're thinking, yeah, we got to try something because this is not, she's not going to be able to stay here, or people, whatever, then you start talking about consent and getting something enduring and a therapeutic trial and so on and so forth. So I think it kind of moves down that path. So what would people prescribe as a PRN for Ellen at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Quetiapine or loxapine.
Okay, you said quetiapine. Yeah, how much quetiapine?
12.5 milligrams.
You'd start at 12.5? Okay, and how would the PRN order read? Like what would
So
you
I'll
say?
say something like 12.5 milligrams PO, Q8 hours PRN for severe agitation.
Okay, fair enough. So does quetiapine come in an IM form? No. And do you put a max on your PRNs? Max per 24 hours. You can actually cap how much. That's what we've advocated would be a reasonable PRN order. Is exactly how you described it, but with a max. So the reason, the max, frequency, obviously the formulation approach. So lorazepam could be an option to what you just said. And so how much lorazepam? 0.5. Okay, yeah, 0.5. 1-ish, 0.5. I don't like sliding scale anything. I don't like 0.5 to 1. I like to know, does it work, does it not work, and then make a change. So 0.5, what else would you say? Lorazepam is theoretically sedating, right? It's a sedative. So in this case, lorazepam might work. Our colleague, Dr. Dallas Seitz, came up with this table of things, medications to use in an emergency situation, older adult, so agitation, psychosis, aggression, in long-term care settings. And it's pretty much what we just talked about. Olanzapine is another option. But pretty much everything that we've talked about a little bit, including even aripiprazole. At night, if people aren't sleeping, then I might pick something that is more sedating, like quetiapine, maybe even loxapine. So there are options. You just have to have your personal formulary and sort of a sense of where you go depending on what the presentation is. What happened with Ellen?
Tony's here. You were calling for Tony.
Where is he?
He's right here.
Last time you wanted to go out for a walk.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful day out there right now.
yeah.
Do you still want to do that?
I still want to do it.
Okay. Okay, but I'll put something a bit warmer on you, okay?
Why?
It's a little cold out there. I can just take you out here on the side, okay?
That's be fine.
Okay. Let me see what you got in your closet. All right. Well, I'll just put that over you, and we'll go out inside here. How's that?
I guess that'll be all right.
Okay.
You know what I'd like to be doing?
What's that, dear?
Walking about with a rake. You know? I like to do things like that. That's what I like to do.
Well, I can't give you a rake, but I could take you along the grounds here if you want.
Okay.
That's good enough?
What's that?
That's second best, eh?
Yeah!
We're going to go this way. Can we get you something to drink?
Yes, I'd like a scotch and water.
Well, we haven't quite got that, but something close though. Tea.
Oh, yes. God help me.
You want tea?
I sure would love tea.
Okay, I'll get it for you.
Thank you to those who participated in the accredited workshops that we delivered around the province of BC. This video series was created based on your feedback, highlighting the need to sustain this learning. We feel that the content of these learning modules can support knowledge translation in a variety of ways. They are also applicable to registered nursing and allied health professionals, providing care to older adults with complex mental health issues and related behavioral symptoms. Thank you to P.I.E.C.E.S Canada team. Their work on developing and refining this holistic, person-centered model to enhance capacity for us to support the care of older adults since 2000 has been amazing and inspiring. I encourage you to check out the P.I.E.C.E.S Canada website at www.pieceslearning.com. There you'll find many of the resources referenced in this series, as well as descriptions and updates of their programs. Thank you also to the BC Patient Safety and Quality Council for hosting the BC BPSD Algorithm and supporting the updates to its content and electronic interface. Don't forget to bookmark it to your home screen on any smart device. We would very much like to thank the Specialist Services Committee of BC for their financial support and Joy Factory for their creativity and patience putting this series together. Finally, I will be forever grateful to my colleagues Elisabeth, Mary Lou, and Barb for sharing this journey. Don't forget to check out the following bibliography of references and resources that support the content of this video series. Have a wonderful day.